Good morning, readers. Welcome to a very quick bookish breakfast. It's going to be very quick because I don't have that much to say about reading. I've been continuing to persevere with the Mirror and the Light. I finished the chapter 5 Wounds, I haven't got much further than that as yet. And what else have I done? I have continued to read Neverwhere, my audiobook, which is still really good, and I'm enjoying the plot, the storyline, the world, the characters. I just don't find myself very motivated to listen to it. And that was the case even before things started getting more interesting in the present world. I normally only read it if I have a decent length of time to get into it, just because I need that length of time to sink myself into it. And then what else have I been reading? I have started rereading Pride and Prejudice because, you know, what do you need at a time like this if it's not Jane Austen? And the only book that I have finished is Agatha Christie's Third Girl, which is a Poirot. It's a very late Poirot. It was written in the 1960s, I believe, 1966, and it's brilliant because it is about Poirot interacting with the youth of the 1960s, and the book is just filled with comments about, you know, how things aren't what they used to be in the English class system and in English London. It talks about, so the idea of the third girl is that there would be a woman in a relatively well-paid job who would go and get herself rent herself a flat in an apartment block, one of the new apartment blocks, and then she would bring a friend of hers in to take the second best room to pay her rent, and then they would just send out for a third girl, advertise for a third girl to fill another room in the flat to pay them more rent. So it's this idea that you've got a group of people living together who wouldn't have lived together in previous generations, who potentially don't know each other very well, who don't know the people living around them very well. And yeah, it's a setup for flashpoints and tensions. I have to say this book does talk quite a lot about mental health, in a way that, for me, gave away the ending, because as I was reading the first part of it, there is a character who is presented as being quite stereotypically suffering from a significant psychosis and mental disorder, and I thought there is only one way that it's going to be okay for this girl to be presented how she is, and that's if that's an important element of the plot. And you know, it's essentially about gaslighting and somebody persuading this girl that she is mentally unstable, and that leads to the developments of the plot. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's an Agatha Christie. It's simple but effective. I felt like it was both far-fetched and relatively guessable, but yeah, it was good. And just to reassure you, everything otherwise is relatively okay. And, you know, it's quite nice that everyone is suddenly noticing the value of the NHS. But yeah, just if you were worried, everything's good. So look after yourselves and take care. Bye.